It's such a pleasure to be with you here tonight. We've been talking the last week or two about food labels, the additives and preservatives that you're not familiar with that are leading to cancer, infertility, and other things. So tonight, what we're going to talk about again is those food labels, additives, and preservatives, and how they're affecting you. So last week we talked about TBHQ, which is actually, believe it or not, propane gas. And what, if you could even believe that, is it doing in your food? We also discussed high fructose corn syrup, which is a cheaper form of sugar, and how deleterious it is for your health. Last but not least, last week we talked about MSG, monosodium glutamate. And that monosodium glutamate not only wreaks havoc on your gut, but also your brain. As a matter of fact, there are some studies showing that the monosodium glutamate, MSG, is adding to and exacerbating autism. We've got a link that we shared on that, on our, not only our website, but our YouTube channel. Tonight, we're going to go further with food labels, additives, and preservatives, and how they're harming all of us. In Europe, they just don't have this much of a problem. It is so much better regulated, and there's so much more natural and fresh foods. So they got us beat, at least on that one. So what would you think if I told you that not all of the additives and preservatives that are listed on the food labels are there? In other words, what might be listed on the ingredients label is what the majority of the product is made of. However, some hidden cancer-causing elements or infertility-causing elements that are not listed or listed in a masked way. Well, you'd probably say I didn't know what I was talking about. However, many chemicals used in food processing do not seem to make it to the package labels. Why? We all are wondering why. Tonight we would be looking at nitrate, diacetyl, and potassium bromate. All big names. One thing I always caution people with, if you can't understand the name of the item that's on your food label, it is probably not healthy for you. Especially when they abbreviate it, like TBHQ. It is a long, tremendous name, and other things like BHT, another abbreviation for a long chemical name that is absolutely deleterious and cancer-causing, deathly to our health, at least in large quantities. So last week, as I said, we looked at MSG, high fructose corn syrup, and TBHQ. Tonight, let's first talk about nitrites and nitrates. Those are found in some very familiar foods, like cured meats such as salami, ham, bacon, and hot dogs. Did you ever wonder why they're able to be seemingly fresh, bright pink, even after on the shelves for weeks and weeks? Why are they this way? It's because of the nitrites and nitrates. These are chemical compounds that are used as coloring agents, preservatives, and flavoring. So our bacon, our salami, our sausage, and our hot dogs are containing cancer-causing compounds simply to keep them fresh and for the manufacturer longer on the shelf. It's great for them, but not so great for us. Studies have linked nitrites to stomach cancer, cancer of the esophagus. There's also evidence that nitrites might be associated with brain and thyroid cancers. Doesn't sound too good to me. Scientists at the International Agency for Research Center, for Research on Cancer declared that ingesting nitrites and nitrates are probable human carcinogens, meaning cause cancer. The California Office of Environmental Health Hazard Assessment is currently considering putting nitrite in combination with amines and amides, other two bad guys, as known carcinogens mandatory in the state of California. You know, it can be confusing because some nutritious foods contain nitrates, such as spinach and other leafy vegetables. They're high in nitrates, but in human studies, nitrates coming from natural plants and vegetables either had no association with cancer or actually decrease cancer risk. And that's in the IARC Journal 2010. And we can post that link later for you on YouTube and the website so you can read it for yourself. So when it comes from natural vegetables and plants such as spinach and green leafy vegetables, those nitrates seem to be safe. When nitrates are made in a chemical lab, that's when the problem occurs. That's when we're seeing cancer in mice, rats, and other animals that we can transcend over and say, well, DNA is DNA and life is life, and it's probably a carcinogen or cancer causing to ourselves. So be very careful. When you're shopping for a bacon, okay, most of the brands, 90+% of the brands in the market have nitrites and nitrates. Same things with the bacon and the salami and the sausages and the hot dogs. However, there are a couple of brands, and then if you look very, very closely, it'll say original uncured. And if you're looking closely at these, it'll say no nitrites, no nitrates. Then you know you've got a much safer product that doesn't have those cancer-causing particles, as long as we can believe these labels. And we believe them to be true, but they're few and foremost, so please read your labels. Moving on now to diacetyl. D-I-A-C-E-T-Y-L. Well, when you're looking, for example, at your yogurts and your popcorns and your crackers and your dairy products, and it says milk, milk, grass-fed milk, and these other lovely words, or pure butter, or these other things, everything looks harmless. But as you get to the end of your ingredients list, remember, on the ingredients, what they have in the beginning is what they have the most of. What they have toward the end is still in the product. Usually as you get toward the end, you see all these crazy sounding products. For example, this is the label of Gardetto's Special Request Roasted Garlic Chips. And towards the end, you start seeing crazy words. First, the ones that don't sound so crazy, so you feel pretty comfortable. You've got little yeast, you've got a little Worcestershire sauce, garlic powder, sugar spice. Doesn't sound too bad. I know I shouldn't have too much sugar, but as you get to the end, disodium inosinotate, disodium guanylate, sodium diacetate. Oh, diacetate. Sounds very similar to diacetyl, which we're talking about now. D-I-A-C-E-T-Y-L. So if you see those words on an ingredient label that you're about to eat, suffice it to say, whether you're a doctor, scientist, housewife, or husband, or any other person, student, if you see words you don't know or can't identify, you know they are harmful to you. And so when they're harmful to you, that's not something we want to ingest. So let's go on to diacetyl. So concerns about food additives aren't limited just to consumers. Let's talk about some of the workers that work in these plants that make some of these preservatives and additives that they add to foods. So we're seeing that there's some serious diseases linked to workers that work in manufacturing plants that make these chemicals and preservatives. Diacetyl is used as a butter flavoring in many microwave popcorns. And it is associated with a severe and totally irreversible, cannot be cured disease of the lungs, respiratory condition called bronchiolitis obliterans. You don't need to know what that means. However, it leads to inflammation and permanent scarring of the airways and the lungs. So when we're seeing this in 11 out of 41 workers who were tested in one plant, that's a pretty significant amount. 11 out of 41. Not quite half, but suffice it to say, when we're exposed to these sort of chemicals over repeated injurious time, they can be deadly. Well, should we be eating them? No, of course we shouldn't. So diacetyl is also used not only in the microwave butter flavored popcorns, it's also a flavor in dairy products such as yogurt and cheeses and a lot of products that say brown flavorings. Well, brown flavorings doesn't sound too harmful. Diacetyl sounds much more harmful, and the brown flavorings that they're referring to are diacetyl. Diacetyl is also found in butterscotch and maple, and in fruit flavorings such as strawberry and raspberry. So be cautious, and please read your labels when you're buying products. If you can understand the label and it says raspberry, raspberry preserves, raspberry fruit, and some sugar. Well, sugar is not an honest beast. It's still a lot better than the aspartames, than the high fructose corn syrup, than the maltodextrin, and the other curse words that are also forms of artificial types of sugars. Several flavor-related respiratory or lung diseases clusters have been identified. In an investigation of 2,000, former workers of those microwave popcorn plants found significant disease across all the manufacturing plants that manufactured that flavoring for those microwave popcorns. And believe it or not, there was little response to treatment of these clients. So with the severest form of the disease, some of these clients only in their 30s ended up on waiting lists for lung transplants. That's scary. So occupational health concerns, meaning the workers that work at these plants, has definitely been associated with flavoring chemicals that go way beyond diacetyl. Diacetyl is one, but there's many other curse words amongst the flavorings, additives, and preservatives. So what you should do is be aware of foods that contain the non-specific ingredient flavor. It's hard to know what kind of compounds may be hidden behind this. It could be diacetyl, or it could be other nasty things for natural flavorings, as we mentioned last week. So some of the things that are known to be put into natural flavorings are the anal secretions of beavers and the secretions from stomped bugs that are actually macerated, and the secretions that come from them are used for some natural flavorings in many of our products. And they don't have to put on there anything but natural flavorings. In particular, I would like to know what I'm swallowing, and if it's a beaver anal secretion, that doesn't sound like something very palatable to me or something that I would like to ingest. For our third ingredient tonight, we will be talking about potassium bromate, but let me rest a moment there. So we all know that perhaps we've had some Bisquick, we've had some Cheez-Its, we've had some Jiffy, some Pop-Tarts, maybe some Crunch and Munch, or Beets. Beets look so innocent, but if you turn the label, some of the cheaper brands have high fructose corn syrup, which is the enemy. Little Debbie cakes. The chemical list is so long, I couldn't even begin to go over that one. Even Honey Nut Cheerios that are on the TV stating how much heart health and wonderfulness they have. One of the biggest demons, the top 10 on the 10 worst foods, are your coffee liquid additives, whether it's pumpkin spice or guave or mocha choca. The Coffee Mates and the other brands, there are no innocent ones here, have horrible additives and preservatives that are absolutely deadly. As we mentioned before, the Gardella chips have the high fructose corn syrup, the monosodium glutamate, the yeast, which has more monosodium glutamate, maltodextrin, which is more of a fake sugar, and the list goes on and on. So you want to really watch what foods you're putting in your pantry for your family and your kids. So please like and share to be entered into. If you share, you'll get a bottle of our free liver milk. Liver milk is simply a tablet supplement that detoxifies the system. If some of these items are getting into your family's diet, go ahead and detoxify yourself. The other product we have is Jumpstart Juice. So with Jumpstart Juice is made with an overabundance of vitamins and minerals. No high fructose corn syrup. Anybody who likes and shares can have their choice of our liver milk supplement or our Jumpstart Juice. And those two items, liver milk and Jumpstart Juice, will be on special 20% off through the end of this series until the end of May. If you missed any of our webinars, all of our previous webinars over the last year, you can be found our YouTube channel, Dr. Birkenstock's Skin Body Health. We've talked about COVID, we've talked about anti-aging, we've talked about skin rejuvenation and repair. We've talked about the 8 octopus wings to successful weight loss. And they're all on our YouTube channel. We're here to talk to you about anti-aging, health, beauty, exercise, lymphatic drainage, and any topic that you may desire. Please let us know if there's something that you'd like to hear about, and we'll expand on that as well. For everybody that shared last week, if you haven't received your liver milk or Jumpstart Juice, please contact us by email, or you may call us at 985-727-7676. You can even text us at our home office, 985-727-7676, and we will get out those immediately. Email us, in addition, our email is very simple, info@skinbodyhealth.com, info@skinbodyhealth.com. So without further ado, let's go on to our third enemy of the night. We talked about nitrates and nitrites found in bacons, sausages, hot dogs, etc. We went on to talk about diacetyl. Diacetyl found in microwave butter flavored popcorn. Also in flavor of dairy products such as yogurts and cheeses, and brown flavorings such as butterscotch, maple, and some fruit flavorings, sort of like strawberry and raspberry. Please read your labels. Our third culprit for the night that we're going to talk about is going to be potassium bromate. Potassium bromate is used in a lot of breads and cracker dough, and it helps them to rise during baking, and it keeps them fresher longer on the shelf. Well, that's great for the manufacturer, but not so great. I mean, have you ever wondered why a loaf of bread could stay on a rack for 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks and not go bad? Well, potassium bromate is one of the enemies. It is listed as a known carcinogen, meaning cancer-causing agent, in the state of California. And the International Cancer Agency classifies it as a possible human carcinogen, cancer-causing agent. We know it causes in animals multiple sites of tumors, cancers, and DNA damage. We specifically see a lot of damage or kidney cancer in animals, rats and beyond. Baking can convert some of the potassium bromate to a simpler compound, not as lethal, called potassium bromine. However, great for the manufacturers to suggest this, research in the United Kingdom has shown that bromate residues, that's the potassium bromate that's deadly and cancer-causing, still resides in detectable levels in the finished bread, in smaller but significant important amounts. So yes, some of it converts to a gentler agent when it's cooked, but enough of the potassium bromate is still around to cause harm to animals, and I'm suggesting, and so are the United Kingdom as well, to humans as well. It also causes damage to the DNA, not something that you would readily want to put in your body. Both the United Kingdom and Canada prohibit the use of potassium bromate in its food, and it is not allowed at all in the European Union. However, the United States still allows it to be added to flour, so please watch your labels. Potassium bromate is an unnecessary additive, and please try to avoid the labels that have it within them. There are some products in the U.S. that the FDA labels in a special category called generally recognized as safe. That just means that it hasn't been proven that they're cancer-causing or infertility-causing in men and women yet. But is this something we want to ingest? So that special loophole, there's a loophole with the FDA, and these are foods that are presumed to be safe, and they're not required to go all of these preliminary trials before they get to the food bank. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're safe, and I need to let you know that this is out there. You know, the system was created, the GRAS, G-R-A-S system, generally recognized as safe. It was created for benign foods such as pepper, basil, oregano. It was not meant for these chemicals, additives, or preservatives that are slipping through the loophole and not going through testing. And we know may and probably are very harmful. The manufacturers can actually decide for themselves whether or not these compounds are safe without any oversight from the Food and Drug Administration. So they simply list themselves under the GRAS, meaning generally recognized as safe loophole category. So please, it's been a pleasure talking with you again. We will come back next week with our part 3 series on food labels, additives, and preservatives, and the dangers that we need to look out for. We'll be talking about propyl paraben, the words get congested sometimes, BHA and BHT, to name a few. Watch your food labels. Please like and share so that other people can be informed not only about this topic but the other topics that we're presenting for you. If there's any questions, we'll take them at this time. Please remember that our Jumpstart Juice and liver milk products, the 2 detox products that we have, they will be on sale until May for 20% off. And anybody who shares tonight has their option of a free bottle of liver milk and Jumpstart Juice Cleanse, whichever they prefer, as a gift for sharing our webinar.
What do you think about the Great Value brand?
The Great Value brand, it depends on the product. Again, read your labels. I've seen some Great Value brands that really that have a lot of added preservatives that I wouldn't pick, added sugars, added salt, in addition, which aren't even the deleterious chemicals that we're discussing tonight. But I will admit, I've also seen that in the bacon category, the Sam's brand bacon has a nitrite, nitrate free bacon brand. They've got the ones that have the other one, the bad stuff as well, but they also have one that's no nitrite and no nitrates. So do check your brands. In general, it's not my favorite brand, but I can't say that everything that they do is harmful. So a minute ago, we were talking about all the bad items. The Crunch and Munch, the Kellogg's brands, the Honey Nut Cheerios, the Little Debbie Swiss Rolls, the Cheez-Its, Pop-Tarts, Jiffy, Bisquick, and the ketchups with high fructose corn syrup, and the Worcestershire sauce, not only with high fructose corn syrup, caramel color, which is another deleterious, says caramel color, sounds innocent, but that caramel color is actually a significant agent that is very harmful, a very, very harmful chemical, etc. So with the good things. So here we've got another ketchup. Not all ketchups are harmful. This is an organic, Great Value ketchup. There's also another brand called Annie's. No high fructose corn syrup, no added additional, I buy for my family, including high fructose corn syrup, then corn syrup. So it's 2 corn syrups, salt, spice, and natural flavoring. Well, what's in that natural flavoring? Is it the beaver anal secretions, or is it the chemicals, or what exactly is that? The last but not least, people ask me all the time, well, when I look at the back of crackers, after what you said, it gets scary. I said, well, Triscuits, if you can tolerate wheat, has 3 simple ingredients. Wheat, whole grain wheat, canola oil, and sea salt. Canola oil is not my favorite, but whole grain wheat, at least you're getting the nutritious part of the wheat as opposed to the non-nutritious, as we discussed last week. Waspa, crisp, and light. So it's but whole grain, all of the different grains that are in here are whole grain, so you're getting the nutritious parts, and a little bit of sugar, apple extract, and sunflower oil. So pretty harmless, not perfect, but pretty harmless. Melba Snacks. Melba Snacks, again, whole wheat, a little bit of sesame seeds, a little bit of yeast. Don't like the yeast because it's probably got a little MSG in it. But if you're needing a cracker, a treat, these 3 are not bad. And last but not least, this would happen to be Primal Kitchen Mayo with avocado oil. And it's just a really good ingredient label. Avocado oil, organic eggs, organic egg yolks, organic vinegar, a little bit of sea salt, and organic rosemary extract. Pretty harmless in terms of a mayonnaise, and some of the mayonnaise labels are absolutely scary. You know, I will close with saying, when I look at a hot dog that even as a young mother I used to feed to my kids, and there's up to 34 ingredients in a hot dog, is anything about that natural or normal? No, it absolutely isn't. And most of the names, the chemical names, you can't spell. If you're going to be sharing something to your loved ones, your partner, yourself, and it's got ingredients that you don't know the name, you know it's not good for you, don't use it. So we're going to go ahead and close on that note. We'll see you next week. We'll be talking more about food labels, additives, and preservatives, and what harm they can be causing you. I'm Dr. Birkenstock. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. You can find us on our YouTube channel, Dr. Birkenstock Skin Body Health. Thank you so much for joining us.